Peak Wealth Management proudly presents the Trust the Plan podcast with Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilot, where we believe by providing education and guidance, we can help you retire with peak confidence. Now, here are your certified financial planners, Nick and Jim.
Welcome everyone to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jim.
And today is episode 194. We're going to be talking about the markets in September. But first, last night, we're recording on Friday here. Last night, Thursday night, was the kickoff for the NFL season. And what did we see from our Detroit Lions?
A Lions victory.
That's right.
It was pretty impressive.
I got to say, starting out 1-0 is the first time in like 5 years that the Lions were 1-0. And secondly, I really have to, and how special was it in Kansas City against the Super Bowl champs?
Right.
That makes it feel even more special. But I just got to shout out to Aiden Hutchinson. This kid, unbelievable. Okay. First off, I love him for many reasons. He went to school where my kids go to school. He went to college where I went to college. And I credit him and his leadership and attitude and determination turning around the Michigan team from 2020 to 2021. Are you with me on that?
Yeah, I agree completely.
I mean, think about the locker room and the attitude, right?
Yeah.
And now here in 23, the Michigan mindset is like national championship, right?
Right.
Like he started that, I think.
Yeah, it's continued.
Yeah.
I agree.
And now in the Lions, we're seeing the same thing. So shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, my guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and some people will discount the Lions win because they didn't, Kansas City didn't have a couple good players or whatever. But I think anytime you can go on the road, play the Super Bowl champs and come out with a win, you got to feel pretty good about
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
And Hutchinson, he had 4 tackles, which is pretty good for a defensive lineman, defensive end. But, it really didn't tell the whole story because he was just pressuring Mahomes all night.
Yeah.
Just always in his face.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth, quite a lot. It's another one of those intangibles besides his leadership.
It doesn't
and
always
attitude.
show up on the stat sheet.
Right.
Like, a sack would, but
exactly
really important.
All right, so Jim, what are we looking at here in September, right? It's traditionally a slow or negative month for the markets. September, October is a seasonally challenging time.
Yeah, it can be, and we're coming off of in August that wasn't a great month either. So it definitely raises some questions to say what can we expect? What do things look like if in the situation that we've been dealt so far?
Right. And so we have some slides that we want to share, not on the screen behind us, but they'll be embedded into the video. So if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you check out the YouTube video, smash that subscribe button so you'll be notified right away when we publish. So what we want to focus on, there's kind of 2 September outcomes, right? I guess obviously that's true, but when we're thinking about historical data, when the markets are bad coming into September, that tells one story, and that was last year, right?
Yeah, definitely were bad coming into September, and then October really hit the lows and felt a lot of pain last year in October.
So focusing on the slide when we have bad Septembers, it's usually when the year's already looking bad. So if we're down 10% or more heading into September, September is usually down like 5%, and last year down 9%. And like you said, October 12th was the low, but we were really flushing. September was a big flush, and then early October was another big flush. And then we've kind of rebounded a lot since then. But if it's a bad year leading into September, September is usually a bad month.
Yeah.
But this year,
it's been the opposite, right? We've actually had a good year.
That's
heading
right.
into to this September.
Yep. When the market, looking at the next slide now, a solid year and a down August. So we're really torturing the data here. But when the market's up double digits going into September, which it is, but also down in August, which it was.
Yeah, which is mirroring what we're seeing, right?
Usually September is a positive month, and that's 8 out of the last 10 times going back to 1950, and the average return plus 2.2%. That would be kind of like a snapback from what we saw in August.
Yeah, that would be a good sign.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the trend is continuing, whether it's a good or a bad.
Yeah.
Now, this is pretty cool data too. So if you look at the returns when the S&P comes into September like it is up double digits, the remaining returns for the year, September, October, November, December, again, look at that slide at the bottom right corner, the average return for the final 4 months is 9% and positive 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Historical information to look at in light of our current situation.
However, this is past.
Yeah,
it's not indicative of future results, but there's something to do with this seasonality. But Yogi Berra, right, our quote master, right, he said, if you torture the data enough, you'll get what you want out of it, or something like that. And I kind of feel like that's what we're doing here, but it's true.
It is true, but it's also interesting that, there's 10 instances where this, a really similar situation has taken place. So, kind of the summer doldrums, right? It's not uncommon. We see a bad August, people are on vacation. We've had a good year so far. But seeing how September and then the rest of the year snap back gives us reason to be optimistic anyway that we'll get some positive returns ahead.
And there you have it. Our expectation for the rest of the year, the crystal ball is now published. So, hey, if you are looking for a second opinion with what you're doing with your financial plan or your portfolio, please reach out to us at peakwm.com.
Peak Wealth Management thanks you for watching and listening to the Trust the Plan podcast, featuring certified financial planners Nick Hopwood and Jim Pilot. If you enjoyed our program, please subscribe and share. If you'd like to learn more about our services, please visit peakwm.com. peakwm.com today. See you next week.